Hello everyone. Today's video we're going to be talking about balance axles and anti-shock systems. And I'm going to start this off with the Ronda balance axle assortment book, basically. So this is the book that goes with the Ronda assortment. It wasn't the only assortment that they ever made. However, it is the only one that is still like widely available. You can still get Ronda balance axles. So this is a book I got at school because the original books, well, they're either falling apart or yeah, they aren't made anymore. This book was from 1956, so yeah, 1965. So let's get into it. So this basically shows yeah, the index. Here you have like a nice picture of the Ronda factory back in the day. Don't know if it's still in use. And then here we get the first page, which goes about the kinds of balance axles there are. So A is the most common one. This is the one you will see in all modern mechanical watches. Then you have B, which is basically the pressure fit form of A. So here you can see A has that little collet here. That's basically to rivet the balance wheel to the axle. You can see on B you don't have that. And then you have here V, which is the straight axle. You can see there's nothing on there, which is commonly found in like pocket watches, or like C is basically what we call the block axle because it has a little block on here. Also can be found in pocket watches. So you would use this book if you are looking for a new balance axle. It is something that like it can wear out a balance axle, or more often it get damaged. Somebody drops his watch and yeah, the little axle here, the pivots at the end break off. So you can go into replacing a full balance, like the balance wheel, hairspring, balance axle altogether. However, that is something that's expensive. So if you're a watchmaker that is a little bit skilled, you can replace the axle. And I'm going to do a video about it in the future when that comes up as a repair. So yeah, that type of axles. Then we go over the abbreviations. And then here we have the anti-shock systems, and that's something I'm going to show later under the microscope. But yeah, all the different along the years. I'm also going to show why you would need an anti-shock system. But basically, from all these, there's actually one that won, and that's Incabloc. It also used to be a kind of a system. That like if you would see it mentioned on the dial, you know it was a good watch. But yeah, Incabloc system is one of the best. It's also one of the survivors. And yeah, you can see Kif is also still used in some watches. Mainly this one, the Kif Protector Shock. And then yeah, you can see like even here the Ronda Shock one. Yeah, that's just a gem of the past. Like the Duofix or the Fix Mobile is also something you see in a lot of older watches. The Monorex 2, Protex sometimes too. Yeah, and that's about it. Most ones are not really super common. And then we get into all the brands that are in this book. So you can see all the stamps. The stamps are on the main plate, and then you can see the brands that go with it. As you can see, there are a lot. conversion table. And then we start with the brands in alphabetical order. So you can see here, so you have, for example, the achievement brand only has one caliber, one movement, and that's the name of the movement. And then the A is the length of the axle. So as you can see here, the first number is the Ronda number. So this was the number you would use to order, or this is the number you would go to like your assortment and get that bag with them in. Now, these days, this is the least interesting part of the book, because these days, well, like I said, the assortments are running out. So basically, it's not really interesting. You would go to these pages, and in these pages you have them sorted by size, and that's sorted by the total length of your balance axle. And why is this so interesting? Because here you can see that sometimes two different brands, two different movements will have the same sizes. So in today's days where assortments are getting depleted, this is interesting because they can have different Ronda numbers but end up being totally the same, or they are not exactly the same but they might still work, or they might still work with some adjustments. So that's why here you can compare all the sizes of all the balance axles. So you have A, which is total length, B, which is this length, so from down until where like your balance wheel would lay on. You have J, which is the diameter of the riveting part. You have K, which is the diameter. First we have G, which is diameter where the plateau comes on. And then we have K, and that's where your hairspring fits over. So yeah, that's the most important part of the book to me. If, for example, here you can see there's no G, there's no J and no G, that means it's a straight axle. And if there's no B, yeah, then they don't have that part. And then all the way at the end, they go from like Ronda numbers in like counting up in Ronda numbers. I don't even know why you would want that, but it's probably in there for some people. So yeah, that's basically the Ronda book explained. So how would you go about like finding like a movement, like a balance axle for the movement? Well, first of all, you can always try to use the first part. Just look up what kind of caliber you have, and then maybe you have the right one. But once you know that Ronda number or the size, you can go look in here and see if there's matching ones close by. Maybe consider adjusting them, because the thing is, there's balancestaffs.com, and they almost have every one of them in stock, and I don't think it's old stock. I'm pretty sure they found a way to produce them. Not sure about that, but it's a kind of conspiracy I have. But anyway, they're expensive, and what they also do is these bags would come with 3 balance axles in them back in the day. Balancestaffs.com will only sell you 1. So basically, yeah, you're paying much more than the original amount to cost, and they only give you 1, which is fine for most people, because these days you probably only need 1. And then you're probably wondering like what watches that were made after 1965. Well, yeah. Some of them can still be used in watches today, because you have a base caliber and then they like basically kept the same dimensions and kept building on top of them to make a new caliber. Newer calibers, you're out of luck, and you're going to have to order them from the factory, and you're probably ending up just buying a complete balance with the hairspring, like all as a set. This is mainly for all the watches or calibers that haven't really changed much since those days. So now that I explained that, we're going to hop on to the microscope so I can show you an anti-shock system, like in real life. So, see you there. So here we are on the microscope, and yeah, I'm so zoomed in that like every little movement makes the setup wobble. My excuses for that. I will need to address that in the future. But yeah, so as you can see here, we have the anti-shock system. So this is an Incabloc one. So yeah, right in the middle, so you can see the ruby, which is actually 2 rubies stacked on top of each other. I'm going to show that in a bit on the computer. But basically, yeah. So it allows if there's a shock on the balance, it allows it to move both height-wise and both sideways. And in order to oil that, you need to open up those like those two on this side here. Oops. On this side here, you have those two little like pins that are tucked under, but you need to take your tweezers and go on the side here. Those two, you go in there with your tweezers, and then you basically lift them out. And once you lift them out, you see here, this part here is a hinge. So you can basically unclip those, they're tucked under there, you can untuck them and then lift the whole thing up, and then you can, with like a piece of Rodico, you can grab the 2 rubies out, and then you can clean them, best clean them separately, and then yeah, once they're cleaned, you oil them and put them back in. Or if you have one of those special oilers, like an automatic oiler, you can oil them while they are mounted, which is, yeah, that's the easiest way to. I don't have an automatic oiler, I'll do it the old-fashioned way. Yeah, and then on the other side there's going to be another pair of these, like yeah, on the movement itself, so yeah. There are size differences sometimes. Usually this one is the thickest one. But yeah, that's something if you're working on them, you would know, I guess. So yeah, let's go to, let's show it on the computer. So here we have our simulation of the Incabloc anti-shock system. So as you can see here, you can see the build-up, the 2 rubies, like basically the bottom one is ruby with like a little brass like ring around it, so the top one can sit inside, and then here you have the spring on top, so that's that spring, like the orange part, and as you can see it's basically duplicated top and bottom. So yeah, if I put some force on it, you can see, well, it goes down and it comes back. If I in the other direction, it does the same. And then, so yeah, basically that is to stop the like the pivot turning into like a mushroom, because that's something you would see on all the watches or pocket watches from before anti-shock systems were a thing, that sometimes that little thin point would turn into a mushroom from always hitting against the like the cover of the contre pivot. So yeah, by allowing it to move instead of like having a dead stop against it, you don't have that mushrooming. And then yeah, sideways, if I put some sideways on there, you can see that basically they slide up on the slanted side, but also still get pushed down. So yeah, that's how the anti-shock system Incabloc works. Yeah, so, but basically in real life it will probably be a combination of the two, like it would be like this and that at the same time, whoop, or like any combinations, if it gets dropped or like you hit a wall with it, something like that. Also, there was a question I had on another video. Basically the oil sits in between here, so you can see it's a bit like it's bent upward, so that the oil sits here, not here. If the oil sits here, you slowing down your axle. But yeah, so the oil sits here. That's why like you have the like the oiler, you can go inside of here, the automatic oiler, and dispense some oil in there. Or like you drew a drop of oil in there, right size, and then you put them together outside the watch and then drop them in, close the spring, and you get to go. So yeah, bottom, top, oiled. That's also a thing. Sometimes the one on the bottom is bigger, but you will give them the same amount of oil to not have errors on that side. So now we're going to take a look at one other, which is the SSR system, which is different. It's more like the Ronda shock system I showed in the book earlier. So we have the SSR system, also the Super Shock Resist, like shock absorber, anti-shock system. It's all the same. So yeah, basically this is a system that splits up the two kind of suction to two systems. So you have your shock top to bottom, which is the top spring here, which is basically like this, which kind of looks like the Ronda Super Shock, although I think the Ronda Super Shock is one spring and this are two. And then if I have like a radial shock, you can see that it is covered by a spring there. The thing that I'm always wondering with a system like this, what about your oil? Because if you have like shocks that way, you're going to spread the oil, it looks like. Because with the Incabloc system, the two like rubies move together. While in this, it's basically, yeah, I have my doubts about it. Definitely like any piece of dirt and your oil is gone. And like this looks like this looks like a system where a lot can go wrong. Also it uses two springs. That's probably why this never really took off, and the Incabloc doing everything with the one spring ended up winning. I don't know. And there's also the big advantage to the Incabloc is that like the spring is hinged, so you don't really lose it. Where things like KIF, you tend to lose them. Like they are springy material, they are loose. You grab them with your tweezers. If you touch something, they sometimes just go flying away. And yeah, the springs look like brass. They're not brass because they stuck to a magnet. That's the way you can find them. But it's still really annoying if you lose them. Definitely if it's one of those like rarer kinds. Like the KIF ones, you can still buy them, but if it's the older ones, you can't always buy them. So yeah, basically, I think that's why Incabloc 1, it's a simple system, plus the fact that it's hinged means that like you don't lose it. You do have to close it before putting it in the cleaning machine, because otherwise you do damage it, and you need to make sure it closes all the way and all that stuff. But all in all, it's pretty clear, I think, why Incabloc is the one that is the most common. So yeah, that was it about balance staffs and anti-shock systems. At one point in the future, I will show it in a video practical, if I need to replace a balance axle, or if I ever need to show something work on an anti-shock system adjust its height. I also will show that in a video, but I just wanted to tackle the more theoretical side now, so that in the future I can refer to this video if I do it practical, or if you've already seen it, because you're a current watcher of my, a recurring watcher of my channel, then you've already seen it. It's already in the mind. But yeah, that was it for this video. I hope you liked it. I hope to see you in the next one too. Bye bye.